What up, YouTube? Before we start the video, we got a very important announcement for you.
That's right, we have our new milestone giveaway for 2,000 subscribers. That is a CGC 9.8 graded Thor #1. This cover is a Nick Klein sketch variant that is also signed by Donnie Cates.
What? Are you crazy? Yes, we are. When we hit 2,000 subs, we're giving away this bad boy. So make sure to hit that subscribe button, ring that bell, and give us a like. It would be much appreciated because we want to give this away, but we only can do that when we hit 2,000 subs. Let's get to the video. What up, comic fam? I'm Jim.
I'm Blaine.
And this is Two Fat Guys Pull Us, and we're doing another fresh new Comic Book Day video for you for the week of May 14th. And man, it's kind of indie heavy. I mean, there's an indie on here that I am like, I cannot wait to read. I am just ecstatic about it. So we might as well just get to it. So we're kicking off the show first with Dynamite's Space Ghost issue number 12 from David Pepos. This looks and appears to be the final issue of the run. I know that there is an annual that is coming after this to probably kind of tie up everything that's going on, because there were a lot of big concepts that were set up in issue 10, I believe, and then it kind of spiraled out of control, and in a good way, not in a bad way. But we've got Space Ghost on the ropes. We've got this, league of villains that are coming back, and his rogues gallery basically kicking his ass. So we'll see if he can fight back and get back into being, the Space Ghost we know and love. But we have this other concept that David Pepos set up with one of the kids coming back from the future, being basically like, the negative version of Space Ghost, not being so humble, not being so restrained, and killing villains instead of letting them go. So are we going to get some more of that? Or are we just is that going to be just a thread, a storyline thread that's just going to kind of go out into the ether and we'll never hear about it again? I hope not. I have high hopes. That's all I got to say.
Sounds great. It's so confusing because my only knowledge of Space Ghost is Space Ghost Coast to Coast.
Oh, yeah.
So it's my tone of what this could possibly be is so, I have no idea, but it sounds sick.
No, Space Ghost is really fun. And so, very interested to see how we wrap things up. Let's move on over to Image. Woo, we've got Exquisite Corpses, issue number 1 from Tiny Onion. This is the first issue that I've seen where his Spiral Onion logo is actually on the comic. So we've got, him, starting his own kind of thing. I know I think he's starting his own publishing group outside of, working with Image and DC and all that. But this is highly sought after. We've got a lot of people that are really excited about it. I mean, my ears perk up whenever I hear Tynion is going to be writing a book. And this whole concept, this, what's that movie where The Purge, right? Where you get the one night to kill everybody, basically.
Yes, The Purge.
I think there's kind of a mix of that here, and also this idea of whoever wins the night gets to run the country. At least that's what I was told about the book, which sounds really kick-ass. But before we kind of dive into it anymore, just to let you guys know, cover Cs are coming polybagged with trading cards with characters from this comic, and apparently they'll be playable in some kind of game. So whatever that's worth to you, if you're looking into getting variants, look into cover C, because you get some extra stuff. But I am very, very excited for this book.
Yeah, I listened to this podcast with both Tynan and Michael Walsh, and they showed up to this. Essentially, what Tynan was talking about is he was like, I've gone creator-owned now. I've gone indie. But what I miss so much from working at DC or the Big Two is writers' rooms and doing these mega arc kind of planning sessions where they do these writers' retreats and plan out the next year of content. And so that's what he assembled for this. And he assembled sort of like this team of people to do Exquisite Corpses. And I don't know if there'll be different writers kind of coming in. I know there will eventually be some side stories and stuff like that with this team, but he assembled essentially a writer's retreat with all these artists. And day one, Michael Walsh showed up and had basically the bones of that card game. And he was like, this is a game because it's a game in the comic, and they like to do the sort of metatextual storytelling. And so it is going to be like a playable card game, I believe, that's also going to accompany this. I think Tynan is probably like the best marketer in comics right now. Like, I think Kirkman was kind of like the OG in terms of like creator owned, or I mean, or modern OG
Right, right,
besides
right.
like McFarlane, where they started going indie. But Tynion is just, he's so strong. He's got his whole industry. He got a lot of funding from Tiny Onion. And what that has allowed him to do is build this studio where he's got a marketing team and editors and a full kind of support to do all of those things to make this book an actual event, right? Like this is a
Mm-hmm.
huge deal. It's 64 pages for 5.99. That's what kind of sold me, to be perfectly honest, because I usually like to wait for the trade for a lot of these.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, oh dang, like I need to like be in the know because the whole comic community is going to be talking about this. This what Tynan is so good about also, he leans into, he talks about this a lot in his newsletter, is designing characters that can be cosplayed, designing characters that are freaking cool. He's
Mm-hmm.
like, for too long, anime has ruled the cool character department, where Western superheroes have been kind of like stodgy and old school and classic and red, white, and
Mm-hmm.
blue and kind of boring. How about we create cool characters instead? And he did that over at DC with his Batman line, and he's
Oh yeah.
doing that here. I mean, obviously something is killing the children. Like he's so good at creating like an image and a look that is so, it sticks with you. And even on this cover with this fox girl who's just sexy, she's got blood splattered, and she's got this fox mask. There's just something about it that just draws you in, and I think this is going to be a huge deal in indie comics for the long term future. I see a lot of meat on this bone.
So excited. And just another heads up on cover variants. Hall of Justice over here is going to have a Jorge Corona variant, which you speak about cosplay. This character that's on this cover looks insane. So cannot wait for this book, and I will be spending too much money on this series. So we'll just let it be. I'll set it there. All right. Next up from Image, we have from the Invincible Universe Battle Beast issue #1 from Kirkman and Ryan Otley. So we've got two creators coming back together to write some Invincible stories. I started reading Invincible in this little journey of my comic book little podcast here, and I saw this and I was like, you know what? I didn't really get too deep into it, but I do know that Battle Beast is a beast, and so it interested me. I mean, Ryan Otley for me is an awesome comic book artist, and so to have Kirkman and Otley be back together to work together again, I had to check it out. I don't know if it'll go past issue 1. Maybe I'm just completely out of the loop on Invincible lore, but I'm gonna check it out, see how it goes. It looks like fun. Might be a silly goose time. Who knows?
Yeah, I'm kind of interested in. I mentioned Kirkman just a second ago. He's always had like a long ongoing that's been so successful, and I feel like he's been hitting and trying things,
Mm-hmm.
and he's kind of a little bit all over the map right now, and he doesn't have his sort of like core project that I know about. I mean, he's got the Energon universe, and he
Mm-hmm.
kicked that off with Void Rivals, so he's kind of leading that. But it sounds like it's like how deep and as involved is he, and how consequential is Void Rivals? I'm not sure. This is a side story, or it's a spin-off of Invincible, which honestly, with again, I was telling you like comic talk and Instagram, like the kids love Invincible. Like
Mm-hmm.
with the TV show, really popping off too and being super successful, like Invincible is massive. And so this is just a smart play for, capitalizing on that. And then I know he launched a new creator-owned book last week with Blood and Honey, I think it's called.
Yeah.
And so it's hard for me to figure out like which book is the Kirkman book that I double down on and want to read. And
Mm-hmm.
I know this will be great. I mean, Ryan Otley and Kirkman being on Invincible again is definitely worth celebrating. So I love that they're doing it.
Yeah. Should be fun. All right. Next up, we've got another Kirkman involved book, but we have Dan Warren Johnson's Transformers with Jorge Corona on the art. Megatron is back. He ain't messing around. He's been dormant. He's been in prison, and he's Starscream, right? Like I don't know if you've seen the original Transformers movies back in 1986, but Starscream, he's a punk. He's just he takes advantage when he can. And in that movie, when Megatron becomes Galvatron, he literally becomes Stardust. He kills him. So I don't see Daniel Warren Johnson diverging from that fate with Starscream here. He's been a punk in this book. He's taken advantage of the situations that he's been in, and now Megatron's here, and I don't see it ending well for for Starscream. I mean, who knows? Maybe the cover's a red herring, but I just don't see it happening. Transformers been fun. It is a book that does not make it easy for new readers. If you don't know Transformers, if you don't know the lore, then you're going to be lost. Nate has been famous for being frustrated. Like, he likes the book, but he doesn't know what the hell's going on, and I don't blame him for that, because I mean, Daniel Warren Johnson's like, if you don't know the lore, then you're going to be lost. Sorry, you know. And then we've got the involvement of the GI Joes, and they are in this book, but they're not as prevalent as they are. I don't know. This whole Energon universe that Kirkman has been creating, it still doesn't feel like we have the main players actually interacting. Void Rivals, we do have Transformers messing with the established characters in that book, and that feels very involved. But as for Transformers and GI Joes, again, I'm not reading the current GI Joe book if there is one. But with Transformers, they're even lesser than side players. They're just kind of in the background, watching shit happen and going like, "Uh-oh, big robots. How do we fight them?" You know, that's kind of what the vibe for GI Joe is in Transformers right now. But nonetheless, it's Daniel Warren Johnson. It's Jorge Corona. I'm gonna love it.
I don't have anything to say about this. I'm happy for all you Transformers guys. Sorry, out of the loop.
Nope, that's totally fine. All right, jumping over to DC, we're going to kick it off with Absolute Batman, issue number 8. And last week, we dealt with a very grotesque, just murderous Brainiac. One that almost, doesn't feel like the original character. And it kind of feels like we're doing that here with Mr. Freeze. I kind of like it. I'm not going to lie. Like, the last issue, we saw this very weird kind of Slender Man-esque version of Mr. Freeze, and I'm kind of like, that's kind of dope. So we'll see what happens. I will say, and I'm kind of with you there, Blaine, from last week, the Brainiac thing kind of went a little too far. It was kind of gross. So we'll see what we do here with Mr. Freeze. I don't know if we're going to do the same thing. I mean, we do have the horror kind of aspect of his design, but will he go as hard as Brainiac did in Jason Aaron's Superman?
Yeah, whenever I think I saw this cover, what Mr. Freeze looked like was kind of my red flag on the Absolute Batman universe, and was just
Yep.
kind of like, yeah, I don't know if this is the Batman for me, and that's a me thing, because Batman could be anything. He could be cosmic, he could be space, he could be monstrous, or he could be street level. The
Right.
Batman that I like is street level and real. And that's just my opinion. And
Yeah.
whenever I see monsters, and whenever I see this Mr. Freeze, who is a monster, it I don't know why it just doesn't hit as much for me. And I shy away from those Batman stories. Scott Snyder did something that was like Mr. Bloom, if you remember, back in his original Batman run. He was this dude who had like this daisy face and had these spindly fingers that could like shoot out and pierce you and stuff like this. It gives me big Mr. Bloom vibes that I'm seeing here. But we did get the origin of this Mr. Freeze, I believe, in the previous issue, or find out who he was. And I thought there was some cool interplay on the origin story that we know with the Heart of Ice and stuff like this, and how this is playing on the story we know, but changing it and stuff like that. So I like the thematic elements, and I like what's going on here, but I just don't know if this Absolute Batman universe is the one for me.
Yeah, totally understand that and totally respect that.
Hey, I'm interrupting the video. It's only because I've got something really important to tell you. I know you know what we're giving away when we hit 2,000 subscribers. I gotta let you know about what we're giving away when we hit 1,250 subscribers. We're giving away this Uncanny X-Men #1 signed by Jim Chung, CGC grade 9.8. When we hit 1,250 subscribers, you could potentially win this, but you have to be subscribed to our channel. So hit that sub button, ring that bell, and give us a like. Let's get back to the video, shall we?
All right, moving on. We're going to jump over to Marvel, and we've got One World Under Doom, issue number 4, and Doom kind of fucked around and found out. or at least that's what it looks like here with his Sorcerer Supreme duties. He may have forgotten or just didn't care about what he has to do as Sorcerer Supreme. And
Yep.
Dormammu looks like he's taking advantage of that. And I know I saw the cover for issue 5. My wheels are turning. North for me has been very up and down. Like I just wasn't digging his Fantastic Four run, but now that we're in this event that he's writing, I don't know why I ever doubted him. Like it's been this whole concept of Doom and what he's doing with his role and what he's trying to accomplish has just got me thinking about a million different ways of how this is going to end or what it's going to change. And I love that. I just love it.
I think it's great. And I think we talked about after issue 3, or maybe it was even before that, when we were talking about there has to be a third party element. There's going to be a third party that comes here and has to disrupt the status quo of heroes trying to counteract Doom and being thwarted at every turn. And here we have the answer. And the answer, I think I mentioned in a previous video, I was like, maybe like a nihilist will come in or some other Fantastic Four thing. Well, that was stupid because it's got to be a strange villain because
Right.
he's the Sorcerer Supreme. And so Dormammu coming in is fantastic. I mean he's like an Omega level threat. Like this dude is
Yeah.
a cosmic being that could literally wipe out all of existence. So then you introduce, again, this third party element that just it changes the dynamic of everything. And that is really exciting to me because we were okay, well, what's next? We get it. Doom's winning. Now what? And now this is going to introduce complications into Doom's plans and the hero's plans. And so I'm excited to see where this takes us.
Yeah, this is going to be fun for sure. And I'll say it right now. Haven't said it yet. Potential pick of the week. I'm just going to say it right now. All right, next up we have Ultimate Black Panther. Things are getting crazy. We've got Dark Vibranium. It's being possessed by some kind of cosmic entity, and we've got OG, Black Panther in his OG uniform without Vibranium, teaming up with Storm, trying to figure out where this stuff is within the continent of Africa. And it's just been fun. I'm waiting for these two to hook up. I think it's going to happen, even though he's already married, but we know it's going to happen because Storm is like, I don't like you. I'm like, yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. You do. Stop messing around. Yes, you do. So can't wait for that dynamic to happen and we get some kind of flushing out of that part of the story. But yeah, again, Ultimates for me has been really fun. Some of them have been more impactful than others. I would say Ultimate Black Panther right now is kind of a silly use time, but you know that we are building towards something. I think everything in the Ultimate Universe, comic book wise, has been consequential. Just the levels have been different. And with Black Panther, they're kind of just doing their own thing, much like the next Ultimate book that we're talking about. But I know that at some point, whatever we're doing here is going to plug into Camp's Ultimate Universe and maybe even Hickman. I don't know if he's going to come back or not. Probably not. He's doing his own cosmic thing. He's rebuilding Cosmic right now.
Stoked for that, dude. Stoked for that. Yeah, Storm just looks so cool here. Like, and I think she was hinted at in even issue like number 1 or 2. And I'm into Storm, and T'Challa should just always be an item, in my opinion. I
100%.
think that should just be canon as far as I'm concerned. So you love to see that it's happening in the Ultimate Universe right now.
Yeah, it's coming. It's definitely coming. Speaking of Ultimate, we have Ultimate X-Men issue number 15, and we've been building up this group, this version of X-Men from Peach Momoko. I don't think this series is for anyone that's just kind of like, oh, I'm going to go check it out. Like, it's definitely something that you have to have read and you have to remember what's been going on. Like, it's not one that you can kind of just pop in and out of. And, there's strength to that concept and there's some weakness to that concept. But I've been a big fan of Ultimate X-Men since it launched. I love Peach Momoko. I think she's a great storyteller. I think her art is fantastic. And what I love the most about it is that Marvel said, screw it. We're just going to do it. We're just going to let her do her thing. And we don't care. We don't care about the criticism. We don't care about any of that. We're just letting Peach be Peach. And I think that says a lot, especially from one of the big two, when, a lot of their other books, the attitude is not like that. So the fact that they're giving her the leniency to kind of just build her own thing is great. And I think the big thing that I'm waiting for, and I know it's coming, is when these Ultimate X-Men actually play with what Camp is building and what all the other writers are building. When they finally jump pages into the main storyline of Ultimates, when we get our Ultimate X-Men. And, there will be a little bit of this, like, if you haven't been reading it, you're like, well, where are these characters from? And you can have two different attitudes towards that. You can be like, well, I don't care. Or, oh, maybe I should go read Ultimate X-Men so I can find out who these people are about. Like, what
Mhm.
they are and what they do. I love it.
I mean, I just love that Peach Momoko has dialed in on a character that I also love, which is Armor,
Mm.
Hisako. And I'm not reading this, but part of me is just like, I need to get, I think, I don't know if I saw a tweet or what it was. And it was just like mentioning how Armor never really had like her own class. Like she was introduced in Astonishing X-Men, and she was just like a solo young student, and there wasn't really other students with her.
Hmm.
And now she is being built out and having her own, ultimate mythology. But she's always been one that I've really loved. She's got a really sick power set. I would love to see her on like a full-on X-Men team on the main line as well. And
Yeah.
and I do want to go back and read this just to like learn more about her. And yeah, that Japanese mythology I think is just so cool too.
Yeah, and that's I think the biggest strength about the book is that Peach is introducing genuine and actual Japanese mythology within the characters and in the story. So you're always getting something a little extra when you read these books, which I think is really kick ass. So all right, our last book of the night. It always ends with an X-Men book. We've got the Uncanny X-Men issue number 14 from Simone. We've got the Dark Artery. Is that what it says? I can't. That's in a weird font. But it's part 2 of 4. And I genuinely like Uncanny X-Men. I know there are some of our fans that don't, that some people have dropped it. That's okay. But Uncanny X-Men, I've said it since it launched, feels more like the main X-Men book over at Marvel outside of McKay's, even though McKay's is starting to kind of level up and starting to reach the heights of Uncanny. But Uncanny X-Men has just been a great, great book. It feels like a genuine X-Men book. We have New Mutants. They feel consequential. They feel fun, and I'm invested in them. I feel like I want to know more about them rather than some of these other X-Men books that have tried to establish new characters, and I didn't connect with them. But this group of characters has been really fun to watch and grow in these past 14 episodes issues, and I'm excited for it. They're diving deep into the mythos of Louisiana. There's some kind of secret going on that has to involve with mutants. So they're diving into this idea. And I think if I remember correctly, the main X-Men group are kind of letting them do it. They're kind of got to go do your own thing. Go try your own adventure essentially. They're stepping back and letting them see if they can figure it out, which I like. So we'll see where it heads. I know there's a deep dark secret here, and I can't wait to find out what happens.
This young team is so sick. Like that is the strongest thing about this book is they always introduce these new X-Men teams, the young X-Men, the new X-Men, whatever you want to call them, and they don't always hit. But I love every member. I love all
Mm-hmm.
4 of this squad here, and it's cool that they're being focused on in this. So I think that's awesome.
Yeah, I think Simone, she's found the voice of all the characters, old and new. But I think, and who was the other writer that I really admired that did Rainbow Rowell. She was writing She-Hulk, and she just did a really good job of writing the voices of her characters in that book. I mean, there were C, D, E level characters that
Sure.
I knew nothing about, but the way she wrote those characters made me feel more invested. I was like, oh, I want to know more. Like I knew nothing about Jack of Hearts when she wrote her She-Hulk run, and now I'm like the biggest Jack of Hearts fan. And
I
same
love
thing
it.
with you got these new characters. I'm like, I hope, I, maybe they get into the movies. Who knows? That'd be great. I mean,
Totally.
they're just fun characters. So
Yes.
cannot wait to read it. All right, that's going to do it for this week's New Comic Day video for the week of May 14th. Let us know down in the comments. What are you picking up today? What are you reading first? What's your potential pick of the week? Make sure to hit that subscribe button, ring that bell, and give us a like. It'd be much appreciated as we're on the road to 1,250 subscribers, but we can't do it without your support. So if you are new to the channel or been watching and haven't hit the sub button, hit that sub button. Also, make sure to go check out Blaine's comic podcast, Comic Club podcast. He's got some really good content over there, a lot of episodes, a lot of evergreen stuff. So make sure to go check that out. And then we will be here again live this Sunday, 8 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time, where we'll talk about all these books and more. Who knows? We may continue our conversation about The Watchmen, which we did last week on our live show. And if you haven't caught that, go check that out. Because, we like to talk about things outside of our pull list sometimes. So come hang out with us this Sunday. As always, comic fam, be kind to one another and read more comics. Later.